Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we are starting our playthrough of Live Alive, covering the present day and Twilight of Edo, Japan chapters. But before we get to all of that, how was y'all's week?
So I had something awkward happen at GameStop.
Yeah?
Awkward things often happen at GameStop. A while ago, I had some game stuff that I wanted to sell, but I didn't want to bother selling it online and stuff. So I was just like, I'll just take this stuff to GameStop. I am selling a bunch of stuff online now, but this stuff I wanted to just get rid of. So I take it to GameStop, I trade it all in, and I use a bunch of the trade credit to pre-order Death Stranding 2. And they hand me the receipt, I take it, and then the other day, I go to pick up my pre-order of Death Stranding 2, which I still haven't started, weirdly enough. I've been addicted to Pokemon, and
it's so good.
I've just been playing Pokemon and filling up my Pokedex and everything. But anyway, I pick up my Death Stranding 2 pre-order, I go to pick it up, and I look at my receipt from when I pre-ordered it, and I notice there's a $5 warranty thing on there. I didn't ask for that, and I wasn't asked about that. So when I go in, I'm like, "Hey, there's this warranty thing on here. I didn't ask for that." And the guy was immediately like, "Oh yeah, this guy does that. We have talked to him about this, and he still does it. We're gonna have to talk to him again." And I was like, "Oh." So he refunded the $5. But one, I'm worried that's going to look bad on their metrics, and two, I don't like getting someone in trouble, even though he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand completely.
Like,
yeah,
he kind of stole from me, not directly, but he made me pay $5 for something so his metrics would look better. So he deserves to get in trouble. He shouldn't do that, but I don't like getting someone in trouble.
Yeah, the conflict between a comrade and Karen is so strong sometimes, where it's like, this person did wrong. I want them to get in trouble. However, solidarity, I don't want any worker to ever get in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah. My thing is that unless you are actively malicious or putting someone in danger, I will never complain about you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I will always give you 5 stars unless you do that.
Yeah.
But that was a little malicious.
Yeah. Anything else happened this week?
I played a lot of Pokemon. I finished the DLC. The DLC of Pokemon Scarlet Violet is so good. It has Carmine, my absolute favorite Pokemon character ever. She is such a delight. And it has Kieran, who is maybe the first Pokemon character to have a strong character arc.
Wow.
It's so good. I love the Pokemon Scarlet Violet DLC.
God, I really need to play it.
It's so good. It's so weird and gay and great.
Yay! So if you live in the eastern half of the United States, anyone in the audience, you're probably aware that there was a heat wave this last week. And I moved to the East Coast to escape hot temperatures. I grew up most of my life in California, and there are many things I love about California, but the thing I didn't was that every summer it became unlivable, except indoors, because it is a state where things get hot, and so all the houses have pretty good AC. Like, it is rare to find fairly rare to find a house that didn't have, like, the worst was the one time my ex was living in a house that had, like, a swamp cooler that was supposed to cool the house in the summer, which was insane. But, you know, mostly houses had pretty decent AC. My apartments had at least some good AC. They don't do that over here. So this last week, when it hit the mid-90s and humid as fuck, yeah, specifically Tuesday, it hit 97 where I'm at, which is not a temperature you want in Massachusetts.
No.
This house has the only AC we have is my parents got us like a window mounted, not like like hanging out the window sort of unit, but like one of those ones that hooks up with like a vacuum tube thing, and it's like a little wheel around. One of those.
Yeah.
It's really nifty. Last couple summers, it's been perfect. We didn't really need more than that. This time, it was not enough at all. It cooled the house down Like, it wasn't 90 or higher inside, like it was outside, but it was like the mid-80s. And in the
That's
central
miserable
room.
inside, especially. Like
That's
outside, mid
miserable.
80s is kind of you can survive, but inside,
Yes,
ugh.
but my room is fairly far away from all that, so I wasn't getting a lot of the effects. And on Tuesday specifically, I basically spent all day lying on my bed with a desk fan pointed at me on my phone or my laptop, and I did nothing because
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything because it was 87 degrees in
Oh,
my fucking room. It was miserable, and that's with the doors open and everything. I couldn't, for 3 days in a row, I basically couldn't do voice call with anyone. I couldn't have any dates with any of my partners. Because for dates, this is a noise sensitive house. We gotta close the doors. There's 2 doors between me and the living room. Gotta close those to make sure I'm not bothering anybody with my voice call. But the problem is, if I do that, the temperature in here raises. I did a short 1 hour voice call on Wednesday, and the temperature jumped 4 degrees in that 1 hour from having the
God damn
doors
it.
closed. So, like, I clearly need my own window mounted AC thing in my own room.
Absolutely.
Apparently. I don't have that, and I don't have the money for that right now, but at some point, I'm gonna have the new job, so hopefully. So that has sucked. Other than that, the week's been pretty good. I had a lovely time. Me and my girlfriend are almost done with Lost. I've been successfully doing a lot of things where I've been kind of creating situations for my partners to interact with each other who don't normally interact with each other. Specifically, I'm really happy I got the oldest and youngest member of my branch of the polycule into a chat together for a shared special interest they have. And I always knew they would get along really well, and they did, even though there's almost 20 years apart
Nice.
in age. But it's great. I love it. It makes me happy. It's like the old urge where you're like, oh, I have friends from different friend groups and I want to put them together and have them get along, and that almost never works. It's like that, but when you're dating them. What about you, Sam? What are you
So,
up to?
speaking of hot, so I moved into my new apartment, and my new apartment, I also, in Wisconsin, they don't believe in air conditioners except for window units. Everyone just has decided that's okay. And so my new apartment doesn't have central air. It has a window unit in the living room, which keeps the living room at a good, it's set on 63, but I feel it's probably like 68 in there. Nice and cold. However, my room is far away from that, and it is, I just checked on my thing, it's 71, which after you complained about the 80s, I feel very lucky to have 71, but that's still, with how hot natured I am, I haven't been able to use a blanket on my bed yet. But other than that,
I understand.
the new apartment is awesome. What's not awesome is I have now developed 2 trick knees, and I don't think it's carpal tunnel, because I was looking at what carpal tunnel does, and it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's probably just like tore some muscle in both of my forearms. But my body is broken because this move has been hell, and it's a lot. I was carrying something, and I like needed to scooch the wagon over a little bit to like clear an obstacle, so I scooched it with the side of my knee, and something popped. And not in like a broken or dislocated way, but just like how you pop your knuckles, but on my knee knuckle. And ever since then, if I step the wrong way, it just shoots pain up. So I got myself a knee brace from Walmart to go on it. And my other knee decided that wasn't fair, and now also does the same thing. And I didn't push anything out of the way with that knee. It just also now hurts. And then my drill's charger got lost in the move somewhere. I think Summer has it in all of her stuff, but I didn't have an easy way to charge my drill while I was building everyone's furniture. So I was having to use the little IKEA Allen wrenches for everything. And the IKEA ones are better than most of them because they're S-shaped instead of L-shaped. So you can stick it in and then do it like an old-timey drill, and that doesn't hurt as bad as just twisting with your fingers. but it still hurts a lot. And so I had to build Storm's bed and Scarlet's bed and my headboard and the dinner table and the chairs for the dinner table all by hand. And so then my partner Cass came over, and I was like cleaning up, like sorting through some of the boxes and stuff, and I couldn't pick up a box because my wrists and forearms hurt so bad. So yeah, hire movers, guys. It's probably worth it. I don't have the money to hire movers, so have more in-person friends is the backup plan.
Yes,
instead of
agreed.
instead of hiring movers,
Or have more money so you can hire movers.
that too.
It's simple.
It's simple, really. But other than that, the move has been surprisingly great. I was worried that I was going to miss the kids constantly on the days that I don't have them. And I mean, this was moving week, so I was over at Summers most of the days grabbing my stuff anyways. But it was surprisingly, after the first night, it was like nice, and I had a lot of like time for myself. But yeah, so this week was a lot, and it is now, the hard part is over, knock on wood. Summer has her move on Monday, and I'm on the hook for getting the U-Haul and helping them take their first one. But I took almost all of the old furniture. They're buying a lot of new stuff from IKEA when they move. So hopefully, knock on wood, I won't have any big heavy things that will cause me to lose function in more of my extremities. I'm running out of extremities to get hurt during this move. So
I was about to say, it sounds
over.
like all your limbs are already injured.
Yeah, I don't got a lot left that I can ruin. But the other thing that I did is I set up my new living room, which put my gaming PC on my 4K TV with surround sound. So I played Live Alive really freaking cool last night.
Nice.
And I would like to discuss that with you guys, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
So let's listen to some music, and then we will talk about Live Alive.
I always pronounce it Live Alive. So
It's Live Alive.
it's Live Alive? Okay.
It has
if you look at the
katakana above it.
katakana, it's Live Alive.
Okay.
All right, so Live Alive was developed by Square Division 5, aka the Final Fantasy team, and it was helmed by Takashi Tokita, the game design lead and scenario writer for Final Fantasy IV. While he was developing Final Fantasy IV, they were, as most RPGs of the time were, running up against the size constraints of the SNES cartridge, and they needed a way to improve and further their storytelling without using more text, because text was expensive. So Tokita, who had been the sprite lead for a couple of the previous Final Fantasies, he came up with the idea that adding a couple more frames of animation is a lot less than adding more text, and you could reuse those animations. So he invented sprite acting for Final Fantasy IV, which is why we have Cecil and Rosa's hug sprite, one of the best sprites on the Super NES, is because he came up with that idea. And so the reusing animations like looking down, which could be either thoughtfulness or sadness, or the jumping up and raising your hand, etc., can be used in all these different places to tell story without having to use text, which is how basically every JRPG ever since has done it. Like even 3D ones, if you watch and it's not a pre-rendered or in-engine cinematic and it's just a talking cutscene, everyone's going to be standing there, and then when somebody animates, they're going to be doing like a point or their head in their hands or something, grabbing something. It's all the same canned animations reused over and over again because it's a really good idea. And this guy came up with it in Final Fantasy IV. After he did Final Fantasy IV, he went on to help lead the sprites in Chrono Trigger and Life Alive, which both have phenomenal sprite acting, and
Incredible.
we definitely got to see a lot of that this week.
And then later, he would go on to do a whole lot of work on Parasite Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So quite a resume.
Absolutely. Speaking of credits, another cool thing this game does is each of the characters are designed by a different mangaka, so they all look different, feel different, and then they obviously take place in different times, which really makes it distinct in a very cool way.
Yeah, I was looking at the Wikipedia page. Apparently, all these manga artists were like connected with a certain publishing company, and Square had a relationship with that publishing company. So at some point in development, they just got the idea, hey, what if we leverage that relationship to get a whole bunch of famous manga artists on board for this?
Also, the music for this game was created by a small-time newcomer to the field who had previously only worked on a few fighting games for Capcom, and this was her RPG debut, and her name was Yoko Shimomura. This is where she started making all of her phenomenal RPG soundtracks. This was her first one, and she got it in one. It's one of the best soundtracks I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah,
And
it's
she-
insanely
really
good.
great.
And also, one thing about Yoko Shimomura is that she has incredible range, and we get to see all that range in one game.
Oh yeah, I had forgotten that she had done the Street Fighter music. Also, I love in my notes. I was like,
Some of the Street Fighter music.
some fighting games for Capcom, aka Street Fighter. But I had forgot that she had done some of that, and so when we get to in a second the Street Fighter homage, I was like, damn, this is some like really good like actual Street Fighter music.
Yeah.
But in the 30 odd years since the game came out, Tokita had been pushing to do a re-release or a remake of this game. He always believed in it. It didn't sell too well in Japan, which is why we didn't get it over here. I thought it was like a post Earthbound RPG, which I think Earthbound is the last one that we got on the SNES. I thought it was after that, but it wasn't. It was pretty middle of the road for the SNES. It just didn't sell well, so that's why they didn't bring it over. But he always believed in it.
It was late 94, so it probably would have come out in 95, which is a little late, but not 97 or something.
Yeah. But so he's always believed in it and wanted to do a remake. And in one of the interviews he did, he actually name dropped Aeon Genesis, the people who did the SNES fan translation, and said like it was because of them I was able to point and be like, look, this game has been wanted to be played by the West for so long. I promise this will do good if we re-release it. And Square eventually said yes, which is crazy because very rarely do companies even acknowledge fan translations, much less thank them publicly for letting their game come out, which is kind of really cool.
It is.
Yeah. Different approach than, say, Nintendo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just hire Clyde and then he can brush up what he did. Just do it. It's fine. Anyways, so it is this remake that all of us are playing because it's really good. It's the HD 2D game that doesn't look bad.
One thing I want to note is that, so we talked about the director, Takashi Tokita. We should also mention the designer, Nobuyuki Inoue, also has a crazy resume. Also did some work on Final Fantasy Tactics and directed a little game you might have heard of, Mother 3.
Oh yeah.
Shit!
Man, if I would have remembered that you had said that, I would have had a perfect segue into that since I was riffing on Mother 3 a second ago.
Yeah,
Dang
I
it.
was trying to very quickly scramble to come up with a segue into mentioning Inoue, but I just had to do it inelegantly because I wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
Yeah. But yeah, so Bernard, what chapters are we playing this week and what happened in them?
So, as we alluded to, in Live Live, there are a bunch of different chapters that take place at different times and different locations, and you can choose to do them in whatever order you want. So we spent a long time looking at the length of each chapter and figuring out how we can put them together so we're playing about the same amount of stuff every week. So this week, we are playing the present day and Twilight of Edo Japan chapters. Let's start with the present day. It's supposed to be the shortest chapter and focused on combat, so it'll probably be a normal tutorial type of place to start, right? No, it's weird.
It's so weird.
So weird.
But I'm pretty sure every chapter has a weird narrative and or gameplay gimmick, so we gotta start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no normal chapter of this game, I don't think.
Yeah, I love it. Chapter Present Day. The Strongest. Main character design by Ryoji Minagawa. We see an amazing 80s action movie montage of a young man exercising in a high-rise apartment, which has no furniture except a table, a punching bag, a weight bench, and some sort of Bowflex. He voiceovers about how every warrior dreams of being the strongest, so he's decided to go on a journey to challenge the world's greatest fighting masters and learn their techniques. He says he'll fight his way to the top, and the world will know his name, Masaru Takahara, or whatever nonsense you enter, because you can choose each character's name, and the remake does have voice acting, but it does the thing where the voice acting just skips the parts where people say the character's name if you name them like Totino's DiGiorno or something.
As opposed to the thing where they give the main character, like, a generic title. Like, if everyone had just referred to the main character was the strongest or something.
Yeah.
Now we are thrust into an elaborately produced fighter select screen while some Street Fighter 2-ass music plays. Because you see, you won't be walking around towns and dungeons in this chapter, because this chapter is Street Fighter 2. You select from 6 fighting masters / racial stereotypes from around the world to face one-on-one in any order you like.
No, it's even better. They're not racial stereotypes. If you read their blurbs, they're all Japanese people that moved to other places to do things.
Moribe is Japanese, and the Great Aja is a Japanese luchador, which is interesting.
And so is the sumo.
Yes, he's also...
wrestler.
Japanese? I thought he was Hawaiian. I mean, he is in Hawaii, but I forget if he.
I think I got that
originally
backwards. I was thinking he was a Japanese guy that moved to Hawaii and brought sumo with him, but I think you're right. I think he's a Hawaiian.
He's a Hawaiian guy, yeah. But and the American wrestler is also, I'm fairly sure, just he's Hulk Hogan.
He's very American.
He's Super Macho Man from Punch Out.
So each fighter has 2 techniques you can learn if they use them on you. Don't actually me about how one has a secret 3rd technique. I'll get to that. You don't level up or get new equipment. You just get stronger by getting more options for what you can do in combat. And a certain fighter's techniques might help you hit the weaknesses of another's. So this is also Mega Man, and I think that's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
So yeah, we're just going to be fighting this chapter. So we might as well talk about the battle system. What do you guys think of this battle system?
It's neat.
It's so cool. It's like a proto-lunar / Trails, where you have a tactical grid you move around on, but you don't do tactics battling with it. Movement for you is really cheap, but movement for the enemies takes their whole turn. So you can move around and you can watch their ATB bar build up. So yeah, if you see that their ATB bar is about to get full, you can move out of the way where they won't be able to hit you. But more than likely, they have some ranged attack that you don't know. And so you'll try to move out of the way. And then they'll be like, oh, hey, here's the fuck you Kamehameha move from across the hall or whatever. And so you're balancing getting into a good position for your moves and also getting away from their stronger moves. And it's really cool.
And one thing I think is neat about it is that, like, you don't have MP. Like, you just have techniques, and you also don't have like a basic attack. You just have different things you can choose to do, and they all have advantages and disadvantages, weaknesses and resistances enemies might have, and I think some take time to charge up, but yeah, it's not like a fight magic item system, though you do have items.
Yeah.
Well, except in this chapter. And I was going to say, one thing I really like about this chapter is, in addition to all the complexities we've already mentioned, because you don't have any items really in this chapter, instead, one of your starting basic moves is just a heal you, cancel out any debuffs or like status conditions on you move. And that's really fucking useful to have, and it's really fun because it becomes this thing of like, yeah, you want to get in close, get them to do their most, just fucked up moves on you, so you can learn those moves, and they can back away from them, and then while they're heading towards you slowly, you can use your thing, refill your health, and then you don't have those problems anymore. And now you can do what they just did to you back at them.
Yeah, it can get hard though.
Oh, it absolutely can, but it's fun.
One thing I like is your healing spell does have a charge time. So if you don't do it at the right moment, they can attack while you're charging and interrupt it, which is very cool.
Bad.
It's very bad.
Yes.
It's cool in a game design way as a interesting wrinkle to work through, but it sucks in this one where if they do their super kick-ass move and you don't have full health, you're probably dead because you can't ever get more health.
Thank you, Bernard, by the way, for giving us that heads up of definitely going for the old guy first. Because he gives you that move that is the big debuff move that is so useful against so many people. Though I would also throw out as a probably second or third person do the dude who does like Muay Thai or whatever, like the guy who does the locks that are counters that make it so the person either loses movement or can't do any attacks that require their arms, is so good to get early.
Yeah. And you mentioned the counters. That's one of the coolest things about this one is most of the moves that you learn are counters. So you never feel like you're wasting a turn if you hang back to heal, because if you do that and then they attack, you still probably get an attack that turn because you have all of these counters that you've learned. And so it's a fun reward for playing it safe. You still get to kill them. And in some cases, I had to do that the entire time, and the only way I won is because I had counters, because his fuck you move was really, really strong.
Yeah, so you might think, this is an RPG that is really weird and creative narratively and structurally, so probably they don't they probably don't pour a lot of creativity and resources into making the battle system really cool. But no, this battle system is very unique, very cool, very serious business. Like, this is not like some RPG Maker game with minimal combat. This is serious business combat, and it's really cool. So I started with Muay Thai Master Namkyat because he's the first in the list, and he kicked my ass. So I tried fighting Morbe instead. He's an old master of the obscure martial art Kopo, which is a real thing, but if you Google it, the first result is the Tekken wiki page for it. Morbe is much easier and teaches a great technique that inflicts debuffs, as we mentioned, so yeah, do him first. I then fight Tulahan, a Russian special forces dude who teaches techniques which lock enemies out of using like their arms or their legs, so they can't use certain attacks, and he wasn't too hard. Next, I fought Jackie Iokea, a sumo wrestler from Hawaii. He has a technique called a Aloha Slap, so that's probably not great. But he doesn't get to use it because I just spam Fleetfoot, a ranged attack that disorients your opponent, and I defeat him before he can land a single hit. But then I remembered I'm supposed to be letting these people hit me so I can learn their techniques, so I reloaded my save, and when I actually let him hit me, he was pretty difficult. So I didn't beat him that time, so instead I went and fought the Great Aja, a luchador from Japan. His fight was not particularly remarkable to me. Next, I fought American pro wrestler Max Morgan, who we mentioned. His whole thing is that he is just Hulk Hogan.
I love getting the German suplex. I love getting the super move.
Again, I didn't find his fight particularly remarkable,
No,
but then
same.
then came time for my rematch with Jackie. I saw online he
Oh.
has a secret third technique that he'll only use if you bind his arms and legs with Tulahan's techniques. But they have a low chance of working on him, so it's really hard to do, and Jackie hits hard, so if you're letting him hit you so you can learn his techniques, it's really difficult, and I just barely managed to survive after learning all 3 techniques. Don't try to learn all 3 techniques on your first go-around. I went for sort of an ideal playthrough this week, and it was a small folly here, and we'll see how it was a huge folly in the next chapter we cover.
Yeah. Jackie also, each person also has, in lieu of a basic attack, they have some attack that you don't get to learn. That's really small and pointless. Except for Jackie's, that's his strongest fucking move. If he does seize to grab you, that's like 200
seize is
HP.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
everyone
you have
else
like
is
210 HP.
Yeah. Everyone else is like, oh, low kick, 30 damage.
Seize hits you a couple of times, and like it could be like 1 or 2 of the times miss. But often it'll hit you every time, and it's rough.
It's so rough.
Yeah, that fight really sucks. It was both my playthroughs the last person I did for that exact reason.
So, having defeated the 6 masters, Masaru has become the world's greatest warrior. Or has he? We see the portraits from the fighter select screen struck down. Then a 7th fighter portrait appears. Who is this new challenger? Masaru stands by a river doing nothing in particular. A, quote, wild-eyed vagabond, unquote, approaches and says mercy will be Masaru's undoing. He says Masaru's mistake was leaving the masters alive so others could learn their techniques as well. But the vagabond ensured his victories were complete. After learning each master's techniques, he killed them, for true triumph is found only in death, in the extinguishing of a life and its legacy. He finishes his monologue by introducing himself as the world's greatest warrior, Odie O'Bright.
Just the name Odie O'Bright, I had to laugh.
Masaru says Odie O'Bright is nothing but a cold-blooded killer. With the master's techniques and his own righteous fury, Masaru declares he will end Odie O'Bright. Iconic boss theme Megalomania comes in at just the right moment in the cutscene, and it kicks ass. Odie O'Bright wasn't too hard for me. I mainly spammed Fleetfoot again, but he did have some strong attacks I had to react to.
And this brings up the coolest thing about this entire game is, as its spiritual successor way down the line, Octopath Traveler knows boss sprites needed to be the whole fucking screen. They need to be huge. Why the fuck not? And so in cutscene, they were the exact same size. In battle, Odie O'Bright is literally half of the battlefield.
Yep.
I love it.
So good. Yeah, no, it was a very fun fight, but very not super hard, but definitely like he has some real screw you moves.
Yeah. So after the fight, Odie O'Bright lays dying and struggles to speak. He says others will come for Masaru without end to take his head and his crown. He says more villain shit and then dies. Masaru turns to face the river, but then a voice calls out to him. Behind him stands a mysterious figure who says that once he's beaten Masaru, he'll be the best of the best. Masaru looks over his shoulder at the new challenger and credits roll. So that was the first chapter that we played for this. Or you might have played Edo Japan first, but this is the first one we're covering because I chose to do it first. So yeah, that was fun. The next chapter is going to be longer.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit. Just a little. I played the first one and I'm like, oh, that was a good like 30-40 minute little thing. That was delightful. Let's do the next one. Oh dear. Oh dear.
So yeah, let's turn back the clock to the mid-1800s. The Twilight of Edo Japan chapter, The Infiltrator. Main character design by Gosho Aoyama. We see a warlord sitting in a dim room in an imposing castle. He is joined by 3 allies, but these aren't normal allies, they're weird. One of them is a weird green flame, one is a weird blue sigil, and one is a weird wooden robot puppet guy. The warlord addresses his weird allies who say they finally managed to capture their quarry. They speak vaguely of the terrible things they'll do to their new prisoner, and the warlord speaks vaguely about how the fires of war shall soon rage across Japan once more, and all will be his. Sounds like he's the bad guy for this chapter, and by the way, he is Io of the Ode clan, so his name is Ode Io, which sounds sort of like Odio Bright without the bright. So that's weird. I wonder if that means anything.
Maybe.
Somewhere, a shinobi addresses his master. The shinobi, Hayate, says he is ready to depart for the crucial mission which has come up. His master forbids him to go because the Enma shinobi would collapse if Hayate died. Hayate considers who else could complete this mission and decides that a certain young shinobi might be able to handle it. His training is incomplete, but he shows great promise. His canon name is Oboromaru, but you could name him Sam Reich if you wanted, because he's been here the whole time. Oboromaru drops from the ceiling like, hey. Except he doesn't say hey because he doesn't talk except for when we make dialogue choices. Or when you try to use a cake to unlock a door and he says, it doesn't fit. The master explains the mission. The Ode clan seeks to turn these troubled times to their advantage and overthrow the Tokugawa shogunate so they can seize power. They have taken someone important prisoner, and it's up to Oboromaru to rescue him. You might think he would tell Oboromaru who this person is, or even this person's name, but nah. The master says Oboromaru may choose to traverse the halls a silent shadow, or paint them red with Ode blood, but either way, failure is not an option. Before he can leave, Hayate says he will teach Oboromaru his secret technique. But surely we don't have time to learn a secret technique, we gotta go do a mission. But it turns out all you have to do to learn his secret technique is have a text box pop up that says Oboromaru learned the technique Shadowed Self. The Shadowed Self technique allows Oboromaru to melt into the shadows, by which I mean instantly become completely invisible anytime, anywhere. Neat.
Because he holds up the tile set from below him as a blanket, and it's hilarious and very good.
So good.
Oboromaru departs, and the master muses that the fate of all Japan shall be shaped by his deeds tonight. We get a cool montage of Oboromaru traveling to the castle, while the master voiceovers about the political situation of the Bakumatsu, the last years of the Edo period. As you might have guessed, this chapter's narrative/mechanical gimmick is that you can choose to approach the mission with stealth or with violence. Every time you kill an enemy, Oboromaru notes how many lives he's taken that night. If you get through the whole chapter without killing a single person except a handful of mandatory bosses, you do get a slightly altered ending as a reward. However, you should not attempt a pacifist run on your first playthrough, because trust me, that is a bad idea. I did that and it was miserable.
I'm so sorry you did that.
It's a weird, complicated route. It's very easy to mess up. You've got to find this one spot where there are ghosts you can grind for experience points for a while, because killing ghosts doesn't count as killing. And you need to do that because you are not beating this chapter without leveling up a few times.
Yeah.
No chance at all.
Because you had already said don't do the pacifist run, so I was going to do a Undertale pacifist, not true pacifist run, where you go through and you don't kill a lot of things, but maybe you kill one or two. If I get caught, just not worry about it. And that's even worse. Don't do that. Go in and kill everybody, or go in complete and don't kill a single person, because the first couple of times I got caught and I killed the guy and it was no big deal. But then I started doing really good at the stealth sections, and I would get really far in, and then I would get into one of the rooms that's a trap where you have to kill somebody to get out. And so you had a little mini boss, like the cat lady or whatever. And so I would end up in that room and she would own me in one hit and it wouldn't even be close. And I was like, oh, this is a bad idea. And I ended up backtracking all the way to the beginning and killing more people because I needed the experience points. And then I did find the ghost house, which is the best place to grind. The ghosts give you an entire levels of EXP each time you kill one. They're really good.
Yeah, so stealth is actually very easy, but if you because if you turn invisible, any guards who are pursuing you immediately stop and act like they have no idea where you could possibly be. And also, guards don't pursue you through doors. And also, if you get into a fight, you can just flee with a 100% success rate. But the thing is, this castle is an enormous maze packed with optional scenes and alternate routes. And if you go the wrong way, you might get forced into an optional mini-boss who you can't flee from. So I save scummed my way through a pacifist run, but it was not worth it at all. Don't do it for your first time.
Yeah. This game, the remake of this game, adds a objective marker radar in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
And normally, like when Dragon Quest III recently got a remake, I tell people, turn it off. Exploring is part of it. For Life of Life, both for this chapter and for the prehistory chapter that we covered on the JRPG canon, leave it on, because the game, it was made in the 90s, expected you to have all summer to just waltz around and figure stuff out. And that's the bad way to play through this game. Just follow your radar as true as you can.
Yeah. So for various reasons, such as the pacifist route not even bringing you into contact with the blue sigil character we saw in the intro, it's clear that this is very much not intended for the first-time player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and also, you can get through this without, like, it feels very much, this is kind of, I feel like a weird thing to relate this to, but this feels like, to me, very much like a TTRPG module. Like, it is a set location with all these things, but there are so many paths to tackling it.
Yes.
There are so many ways of handling it, and I truly cannot imagine, like, the sheer permutations of different paths through this chapter. There's just so many. I went very different from either of you. I wasn't aiming to get 100 kills necessarily, especially like after a while where I was like, God, I already got to, like, it took me so long to get to 50, but I got between like 60 and 80 in each of my playthroughs. Like I did pretty good. I killed a lot of people, but I didn't kill any of the maids, because what the fuck, game?
Yeah, so here's my next paragraph. Fun fact, there's a separate challenge run in which the player attempts to get 100 kills. I don't think this is like rewarded in the game or anything unless you count getting to a real high level, but if you want to stick to a different but also weird restrictive route, you can do this. But it does involve killing a lot of random people who aren't a threat to you, which is not very nice.
I killed some of the old men, mostly because there were other people in the room who were trying to kill me, and after I killed the dangerous person, it's like, well, sorry, merchant guy, you saw too much. I'm a ninja. I can't let you live.
Yeah. The quote-unquote innocents in there are hilarious because they have like 10 HP and they give you no experience points. So it's just like rubbing it in, like, you murdered this person.
Yeah.
You don't get a reward for murdering this person.
Okay, but there's... Oh god, I'll talk about this in my mom's. Never mind.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip over almost everything in the dungeon portion of this chapter because it's weird and huge and open-ended, and most events are completely optional. So we can talk about anything cool we encountered in memorable moments. Oboromaru infiltrates the castle and finds there are many traps, including weird wooden automatons. If we find a dungeon key and make our way to the dungeon, we find a bunch of kooky characters in the cells, including Goemon.
What's he doing here? He's supposed to be with Lupin the Third.
I'll go ahead and mention, if you free him, he restocks some of the chests in the castle with really good stuff. So yeah, free Goemon, and he'll help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one prisoner who sits in the back of his cell and is mysterious and is presumably the guy we're after. If we open the cell and enter, we fall through a trap door. I had to reload a save and not do this because it turns out you have to kill to get out of this situation, but the plot makes more sense for the first-time player if you go through this scenario this way. So I'm going to recount how the long play I watched for notes did this. After falling into the pit, we find the way out is blocked by that blue sigil thing from the intro. It turns into a dude who talks about how he has transcended mortality. Oboromaru kills him dead. The prisoner then falls into the pit and is like, oh hey, you must be the guy they sent to rescue me. Awesome, let's go. But before we go, let's go thank my host for his hospitality. Oboromaru's like, sure, okay. Eventually we encounter the robot puppet guy from the intro, and it turns out he's the 1800s equivalent of a cyberpunk body-modding mad scientist. We fight him, we win, and he explodes.
Yeah, I really love the, like, clockwork cyborg thing he has going on.
It's so cool. I love it. He's the one who made all the traps in the castle, so they stop functioning as soon as he dies, because that's how traps work.
Yeah, of course.
We also might encounter a mysterious woman who speaks with the voice of the Green Flame from the intro. She tries to seduce Oboromaru because she's an evil, sexy lady, and that's what evil, sexy ladies do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When we turn her down, she attacks, and we kill her dead. If we don't fight her here, she shows up kind of out of nowhere during the climax of the chapter, and we fight her then. In the killing dudes route, we eventually find our way to Ode-Io's room, where we're attacked by a bunch of guards and kill them dead. If we take the pacifist route, this scene plays out very differently and kind of a cool way, and this is where we finally meet the prisoner. But either way, by the end of the scene, Lord Ode applauds Oboromaru and the prisoner's tenacity, but says the spirit of Miyamoto Musashi is gonna kill them. A ghost appears and Lord Ode runs off. We kill Miyamoto Musashi, double ghost dead, and pursue Lord Ode. We find Ode-Io, and he quickly initiates a fight, but his sprite is not enormous, and Megalomania is not playing, so this can't be the final boss of the chapter. After we kick his ass, Lord Ode is like, hey, let's go fight on the roof instead. He jumps away, and we're like, okay, guess we're going to the roof. On the roof, Ode-Io hollers about how he will unveil the noble visage of he who will rule Japan forevermore. He starts glowing and swelling. He yells, all is mine, and transforms into a giant frog demon thing as Megalomania kicks in. Hell yeah, it's actual chapter final boss time.
Yeah, I knew that the human form wasn't the final boss because he was small.
Yeah.
He can't be a small final boss.
Oboromaru and the prisoner defeat the monster. The prisoner muses about how Japan deserves better than a tyrant who'd forsake his humanity. The castle is rocked by cannon fire from a ship in the bay, and the prisoner's like, hey, cool, my buddies are here. The prisoner then realizes he never told Oboromaru who the hell he is. He introduces himself as Sakamoto Ryoma and says his comrades are aboard that ship. And at first, I took the prisoner for a foreigner because he has a strong British accent which doesn't match any other characters in the chapter, and his sprite has blonde hair, so I was like, is he a foreigner? But no, he's Sakamoto Ryoma, real historical figure who was definitely born and raised Japanese. He just talks like that for some reason.
Well, apparently he was a bit obsessed with Western culture in real life.
Yes.
So
yes, he was into Western
He's Bebe's
culture.
ancestor?
He's Bebe's
No,
ancestor.
he's the opposite of Bebe.
True.
Sakamoto wonders aloud if Japan will ever enjoy peace again. He muses about mankind's petty squabbles. He says man's most singular, enduring trait is his capacity for hate, and that will always be the case. Nevertheless, Sakamoto believes it is possible for us to overcome our nature and change this tired state of affairs, for he has faith in Japan's future. Sakamoto asks Oboromaru to join his cause, and I'm an idiot American who knows little more about Japanese history than what Bill Wirtz taught me, and I'm guessing your average Japanese person might have more context of like who Sakamoto Ryoma was and what he did. I did Google him later, and yeah, it looks like he was a big fucking deal in the end of the shogunate and the Meiji Restoration and the modernization and westernization of Japanese government and society, so a given Japanese person probably has some opinion about all that, but I'm an idiot American, so I'm just like, sure, yeah, whatever. I'll join your cause, whatever it is. Either way, Sakamoto Ryoma says the sun is rising and that someday it will rise over a Japan free of strife and conflict, and he feels the day is near. No one tell this guy how the early 20th century shakes out. Credits roll.
I mean, if you look at his comment about Japan free of strife and conflict, like within Japan, and not about strife and conflict towards each other. I mean, the early 20th century did kind of see that. It's just because
Japan was unified. It was just unified in a pretty bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, credits roll, and we get some more voiceover, and it says how many people we killed, and yeah.
Pretty cool chapter. I really liked it.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. So now let's listen to some more Yoko Shimomura music, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments.
So, when I did my 2 playthroughs, it's because, yes, I am going through every chapter on Super Nintendo and then on the remake.
I'm glad you're doing that. I like that we get to see both.
Yeah, it's fun. Honestly, the Super Nintendo game holds up so goddamn well. It's so fucking good. And to the point where the remake, it is mostly just aesthetic changes. The only non-aesthetic changes I can really tell is a lot of the actual layout of the castle in the Edo Japan one has been shifted a little bit. Like, I definitely feel like the layout's at least a little different. It looks much more gorgeous, and I feel like I have a much more concrete idea of what is where compared to the Super Nintendo, which was a lot of hallways that looked the same, and a lot of building layouts that were very similar. But I think the other big change is just, I think there were some elemental weaknesses and type resistances in the Super Nintendo version, but the game never made that super clear that was ever a mechanic or a thing I should watch out for. And so I mostly just went through just on vibes. So the fact that the remake, every enemy, it's like, oh, here's what they're weak to. Here's what they're resistant to. Every move has a little symbol letting you know it's elemental thing. Super useful. Makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I don't appreciate about it, though, and this is the smallest thing, is while you are in your menu picking your move, if you start to get a bunch of moves, like say you've just defeated 6 masters and gotten 2 to 3 moves each, you can't see behind it, and there's no way to like minimize your HUD or anything to see where you are and what you're looking for. And so in the end, I found out that you can see the weaknesses and resistances at the bottom of the screen, but I was just looking for resistant or vulnerable above the people's heads, and I couldn't see it most of the time because the skills were just filling the entire screen. And I was like, well, I think I kind of see a different color back there. I'm gonna try it and see what happens.
That's fair. Also, my routes in the Edo Japan, well, my number of kills were fairly similar. The actual things I did were fairly different, to the point where you mentioned this, Bernard, briefly in your synopsis, but my first time through on the Super Nintendo, I killed the Clockwork Cyborg guy before ever getting to the prisoner. I don't know how, I just missed there were stairs down in the dungeon, so I didn't go down there to Goemon or Ryoma. And I just went around and did other stuff, and I eventually found the Puppet Master dude, and I killed him. And then when I did go back there later, I was like, oh, that cell's empty. Huh, yeah. Weird. And so I didn't get the extra party member until the end of the chapter, like right before the final boss.
So you got the alternate version of the scene where we meet Ode-io.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes, but like he's like, "You're not going to kill me. I have a gun."
Yes, like normally in the normal playthrough, he has all these dudes who surround you, and you have to fight a bunch of samurai. In the version where you have Ryoma saved himself because you didn't save him, he instead, like, he kind of like, no, I don't need all of you, you can leave, because I have a gun on you. And then Ryoma shoots the gun out of his hand, and shows up, and he's like, shit, ghost! I sent a ghost at you! Which is cool, but it was also very much like, oh wow, I would have really liked having a party member earlier, so the second playthrough, I made sure to get Ryoma as early as I could, because it really helps. Because he's like, Ryoma's not great. He doesn't have a lot of super great damage dealing ones. Actually, he's stronger in the remake than he is in the Super Nintendo. They gave him some buffs. But even still, his biggest use is mostly just as meat to put in between you and big bosses, so they have to get through him to get to you.
Yeah. In the final fight with Ode-io, he has a light attack, so he does double damage against them. It's with his weakest attack, but it does disorient him and interrupts any of his casting. So he's useful there, and he's a meat shield the rest of the time.
I will say that I can tell you for sure that at least that elemental thing is new to the remake, because I was having him do warning shots in the Super Nintendo in the final fight, which that final fight I had to go through like 5 or 7 no not the 5, more like 7 to 8 attempts in order to actually beat that final fight in Super Nintendo version. Part of it was because warning shot did 0 to 1 damage every time. It was not good again. There was no weakness happening there.
it's a cool fight, but it's so much easier on the remake. There are moves in the Super Nintendo version that the Big Frog Man uses that are just a real, oh, you're dead now. Like, he has one that it's like every guide will be like, never be diagonal to him. Never, ever be diagonal to this boss, because he will use the blood drink move, but he can eventually just do it to you, even if you're just adjacent to him. If he gets low enough, which is I'm gonna do like 150 damage and heal myself that much, which wipes you out.
I saw a comment online saying that this is the hardest of the chapter final bosses, and I was like, sounds like it's probably harder in the original version, because it was not.
Yes.
I didn't have trouble with it playing the remake.
I only had trouble with it in the remake because I had to use all of my healing spells or healing items against Musashi, and so I couldn't go down, and so it was hard in that regard, where I had to play extra safe, but not horrible.
Oh, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about the battle system is how weird the KO and revival system is in this game.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So when you get to 0 HP, you're knocked out. Your character is like laying down on, if you have more than one party member, the killed party member is like laying down, face down in the ground. And one of two things can happen. You can either revive them, which you do by using any healing item on them, or if you don't heal them in time and an enemy hits the downed character, they're permanently removed from that battle.
Yep.
And can't be revived.
But they'll just come back after the fight, because one of the things I really like about this is every fight after the fight, you're back to full health.
Yeah.
No having to worry about using your items out of battle or anything like that. Or no, you're just back to full every time, which is a really fun way to do this sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's wild how modern this game feels.
Yeah, I love the two extremes of how to do JRPG in between battle healing is either heal everything like this game does, so that each battle, even against Zubats, can be a engaging strategic puzzle thing. But I also do love the Dragon Quest of did you buy enough potions to push forward? I like them both. It's when they're in the middle that it kind of sucks. But these two extremes are awesome, and I love this one because, especially with this battle system of how you balance moving and positioning in your attacks and stuff like that, it definitely feels like a puzzle that you can figure out, unless of course you're against Jackie, in which case you can't figure it out. Go get other moves and come back.
And I think it really works well for this game specifically, because with the Dragon Quest model, it's about your long-term strategy and, preparing and going on an adventure, coming back to town at the right time. But this is all these small contained scenarios where, like in this chapter, we don't have any sort of town thing. We are just doing a dungeon. So it makes a lot more sense to do the style where you're just healed, completely restored in between each fight.
Yeah.
That does remind me, speaking of being in one place and not needing healing, I think this game might be built like from the Super NES original and not a straight up remake, because a thing happens that makes zero sense whatsoever unless it is bound to the tile underneath it on the Super NES version. But if you walk over a bed in Edo, Japan, you get into your crawling lay down pose no matter where you are. Like, you're just in the middle of a room and you walk over the bed and you lay down while you're on it and crawl till you're off of it, and then you stand back up, which would make sense on the Super NES if it's like you're walking under the covers or a sort of thing, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever in HD 2D. And if they remade it from the ground up and they put that in on purpose, why? It's so funny. It's so weird. I love it.
One thing I sadly didn't love about the Edo Japan area, there's this bit, and I know I'm missing some like there's definitely probably some Japanese context to this that I'm missing, but I don't know if context would help, because there's this one enemy you can find who's like an old lady who's ugly, but she really wants to kiss you and stuff. and she's a really annoying hard enemy. And because she was being very aggressive in the Super Nintendo version, I did end up killing her. Except I didn't kill her because she's unkillable. Because after you beat her, she's like, "Ha! You think that'll like?" She says it like, "You think that will manage to be enough to get my love away from you or something?" And then for the rest of the chapter, anytime you're indoor, any specific like these very specific buildings, she will just be there and be chasing you, but she won't initiate battle. You have to initiate battle. If you interact with her, battle start. And you'll do the same battle again, and then afterwards she will just be back. You didn't kill her, she'll be back the next time you're in any of these areas. And she's just a nuisance, and she's kind of difficult, and it's just, I don't like the trope that they're playing with here. Like, I know this is supposed to be funny. I don't think ugly woman who wants to bang you is a funny trope. I don't like it.
So weird.
Almost every other monster in the game or in this chapter is a yokai of some sort, and I wonder if that's the missing thing, especially since she follows you everywhere. It feels like that. I'm trying to look it up and see if I can find it.
Yeah, well, and I did find her in the remake, but I ran from the battle because I was like, maybe if I don't kill her, maybe she'll never haunt me, and she didn't. So I was like, oh, thank God.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Other thing that I wouldn't put as a bad thing, but just like a silly thought I had is, so the animation in this game is gorgeous. The sprite work is incredible. I love it. It's so good. But specifically in the first one, the present day chapter we did, it feels like some of the backgrounds are not very pixelated, if they are pixels at all. Like, they look more like just a well-animated background, which is cool. But when you have a well-animated background, and in the foreground, all of your characters are these sprites who are doing things, and super smooth animated sprites, I should say, it gave me a feeling like I was watching a Newgrounds animation. Like, there's this distinct thing in my brain where I'm like, no, 16-bit sprites don't have this many frames. They don't have this many, like, different, like, poses. This isn't a Super Nintendo game. This is Uncanny Valley. What's happening?
I can see that. I think in the remake, the HD 2D style looks absolutely fantastic pretty much all
Agreed.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned before, I didn't really like how it looked in Octopath Traveler because they just had too many effects on the screen, but they did it right here.
Yeah, I really like it.
It is just wild to me that this is a game from 1994. Like, of course, I'm playing the remake, but from what I've gathered,
the character is called Relentless Maid. The character is literally called Relentless Maid. She is a, quote from the wiki, annoying old woman. Apparently she will disappear eventually if you kill her 14 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it doesn't say this is a reference to yada yada. It probably is. The Live Alive wiki is not very
it's not
fleshed out.
I can't believe it.
But it still feels like it feels like a kind of a sexist, ageist kind of trope. Definitely. Yeah. Apparently, she gives you a really good item if you do kill her 14 times.
Probably not worth it.
No. Yeah, I should say also, one of her techniques is called "You Wonderful Man!" 2 exclamation points, and she like glomps onto you, and there are hearts, and I'm like, okay,
no.
So yeah, this feels like this game might be the beginning of Square's absolutely wild PlayStation period where they were doing crazy shit like Chrono Cross and Parasite Eve.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the start of that because this game is so inventive and experimental and creative and ahead of its time. And yeah, it is quite a thing.
Yeah. And
did you find the giant koi?
Yes, I did not fight it. I hear it's a difficult fight.
I tried on the Super Nintendo version, and then I went, nope, never mind. I do kind of want to go in. There's another secret boss that apparently guards extremely good. You can get the Muramasa blade, which is a really fantastic item. They're just really hard bonus bosses, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to replay sometime and get those. That sound good.
Yeah, apparently this is the chapter with all the cool secret bosses, which makes sense because it's so sprawling.
Yeah, there is so much stuff packed into this chapter.
Oh my god, there's another party member you can get.
Oh, I forgot to mention the other party member, which is one of the weird puppets. So you have to get this party member to do the pacifist route because you find it joins the party, and I was like, cool, I have a party member. I'll go ahead and equip it with all my spare equipment so that I'll have it ready when I have to face a boss. And then I keep going through the dungeon. I don't get into any fights, of course, because I'm doing pacifist. And then I get to a room where there are some guards I can't get past, and the puppet freaks out and run because it sees a mouse, if I recall correctly. It freaks out and it runs over and it explodes and kills all the guys without Oboromaru killing them, so that it doesn't count against your pacifist runs. And I lost all the equipment I put on him, so I wasn't able to put it on Ryoma later.
Yeah, I was just saying, apparently if he falls from a great height, so if you get into one of those traps where you fall into prison, or if he gets submerged in water, or if you come in contact with a mouse, he will die, and he'll lose everything on him.
Yeah, or if you manage to get to that one scene, he will have a mouse will show up in a scripted scene, and he will die.
That sucks. I don't want him to die.
So, did either of you watch an old man die in front of his child? Did you find that scene?
Yeah.
No.
What was with the rat thief?
Yeah. So
what
you're
was the point of that scene?
You're crawling through the attic. Like, I thought it was a brutal way to show us a trap on the bottom, and no, you don't activate the same trap that they did. And
I do know what you're talking about. I found that in the Super Nintendo, but not in the remake.
Yeah, so you're crawling along in the attic, and then there's two other shinobi infiltrators. One is a kid, and one is their dad.
They're just thieves.
But yeah, they're in ninja garb, whatever. And they're trying to steal stuff. And the kid and the dad are crawling over this room in which there's a retainer underneath. And they're trying to get by to get to these chests, which after I got there, they're all empty, which is hilarious. But so they're trying to go through, and then they're making too much noise, and the retainer underneath it is like, there's someone in the attic. And so he starts stabbing the ceiling, and then the dad is like, don't worry, I got this. And he's like flipping out of the way, and he's doing really good until he doesn't, and he just gets stabbed, and the kid is like, no, Papa, and runs away. And that's the end of the scene, and you don't activate the same trap. You just walk through and you get to the empty chests, and it is fucked up and random, and I loved it.
It feels like a comedy scene, except it's a comedy scene with a horribly dark ending.
Yeah.
It's weird. Man, I'm just looking at a list of Squaresoft games, and in 1994, they released both Final Fantasy VI and Live Alive, so that was quite a year for sprawling, episodic, epic RPGs from Square.
I love that this is so, like, there's so many characters in this that are just flat out real historical figures, but partially, I'm gonna guess because of the theme they have going on with the villain of every chapter and the thing they're building up to. It's not Oda Nobunaga, it's Oda Io. And I'm just like, yes. And of course, Oda Io, like so many depictions of Oda Nobunaga, has demons at his command and ghosts and clockwork, evil cyborg men. And it's just like, y'all, you gotta invent all this shit for him. I mean, you do, it's very fun, but it just makes me laugh that they, like, especially around this time period in the 90s, there was just so much stuff in Japan that, like, made Oda Nobunaga into like the most evil overlord type of all time.
That reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier. So this chapter, more than any of the other chapters I've played, does play around with the fact that it's set in a real time in history a lot. But they wanted this to be probably because of Oda Nobunaga already being close to an Odio name. They were like, okay, we need to set it here, but that means the Musashi's already dead. So we'll put in Ghost Musashi, because if there's two things we like of the Edo period, it's Nobunaga and Musashi. And so we got to have both of them in here. We can't set a game in this time without mentioning both of them.
Oh, when did Musashi live? Oh yeah, 1584 to 1645. So
yeah,
I think that's like that extends into the beginning of the Edo period, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, don't remember all of the exact periods, but I know this around this historical
Feudal
time
Japan.
with feudal Japan, you either have a story about Nobunaga or you have a story about Musashi, and in this case, they wanted both.
Yeah, man, this game rules.
It really, really does.
Oh wait, Nobunaga was also the 1500s, but this guy's clearly based on him.
Yeah, whatever. They wanted it to be at the end of the Edo period, then at least.
Yeah, because that is, from what I gather, a really interesting historical period. But also, you got to have Nobunaga and Musashi in there.
Yeah.
But love this game so much.
Me too. I'm excited to play more of it.
So, what are we going to play next week? Have we decided? I mean, we decided what all the chapters pairings we're doing are, but did we decide which one?
We can do so next week we can do mine, which is going to be Wild West and China, and then after that we can do Sam's, which is the
Prehistory and Distant Future, which I like because it's the earliest one and the latest one.
Yeah,
earliest one, the latest ones, and also two of the weirdest ones in how far they are, because one of them has no dialogue from what I understand, and the other one has basically no battles in it.
The prehistory chapter I've played, and it's so weird. It does have no dialogue, and it's great.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for it.
When I was playing through it for the JRPG canon, the prehistory section, I got so many things wrong because there's no dialogue, and so I was like, oh, this is what's happening, and then at the end I was like, I was obviously incorrect and this is not at all what was happening. So I'm in the future now, so I can make sure that my notes tell the story properly this time.
Yeah, when you're just going through it, you're just sort of vibing with it, so it's fine. But if you're trying to recount what happened, it gets a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But next week, Trish will cover Imperial China and the Wild West. It was my idea to change up who does the notes each week to reflect the differing styles and settings. And I think that was a really good idea on my part.
I think so too. And I'm super happy to take Wild West because I think Wild West stuff's fun.
But yeah, the Wild West chapter also rules. I'm excited for you to play it.
Yeah, it's real good. And I haven't played the Imperial China chapter, so I'm excited to see what that's about.
Me too. But I think that will do it for this week's coverage. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us offset the cost of running this show. If you decide to donate $1 more a month, you'll become one of our gadabouts and also get access to our bonus feed filled with after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show, such as the JRPG canon, which got a taste of Live Alive before everyone else. If you want a class change to a warrior, you can up your monthly donation to $5 or more each month, and I'll also read your name at the end of every episode, a little like this. Shouts to Dragonslayer19, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron524, and Jfro Prime. And then, if the blood of Erdrick flows through your veins and you want to become a luminary, you can donate $20 or more a month and get a short one-sentence shout-out or advert read at the end of each episode, kind of like this. Shouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out aftermath.site, a worker-owned reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Kale Dranas, who says to check out Podcasters Assemble. It's a documentary-style crowdsourced movie hype/rewatch podcast. Every season, podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. Shouts to Vimke, who says, 30 whole minutes since I took it off, Crux, she said, hands busy. It's almost like you want me to leave here forever. Oh, shit. You absolutely do, though. And then shoutouts to It's Claire Time, who says, for you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game. I just think it's neat. For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.
Trish, did you say "and I'm"? Because it just came through as Trish, and it was really weird.
I did say "and I'm." I did. I promise.
I don't know why it came through like that. It was so weird.
It was so good, though.
Trish.
It sounded so weird outside the context of the full sentence.